Christina, I'm just frustrated with the way this whole case has been, like, forever. Anything that needs to get shaken up to get this thing out there and to find justice for Burke. I'm willing to stand and take my lumps if I up in as many ways as I may have. But I still want to move with this thing, do whatever I can now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, until we find out what happened.
There was a guy that was killed around the corner last week on Orchard Street.
I've replayed that night in my mind millions and millions of times.
The police department and the O'Brien family are requesting the help of the public in apprehending the perpetrators of a homicide